So this week at Search Queries, we are talking about life after high school, and for a lot of us, that means college. So my college experience actually started in high school. When I was a junior, I transferred to a different high school than the one I normally went to. It's a very different environment from the typical high school. My graduating class was, I believe, 60 people. It was a really small school. It was really different. There were team teaching, and it was just a great environment. And there were no bells or anything. They treated you like an adult, which was great. And so one of their requirements was you had to graduate high school with at least 12 units of college credit, which equaled out to one 3-unit class a semester over your junior and senior year. That's when I started college, actually, and I wound up graduating high school with um, about 24 college credits, I believe, something like that. I don't know, because I didn't really need a lot. I had already gathered most of my high school requirements credits, and so I just wound up taking a bunch of college classes. I took college classes at my local community college, and then after high school, senior year, my parents were really pushing me to apply to colleges and everything, and at that point, I had already known that I didn't want to go straight into a four-year university. I knew it wasn't for me. It wasn't something I was looking forward to. Everybody else was like, "Oh, I'm going to go and I'm gonna live in the dorms and it's gonna be awesome and we're gonna do all this," and it just wasn't for me. I really, I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life really at that point. I didn't have a major picked out. You know, and I knew I didn't want to waste thousands of dollars trying to figure that out. So I figured I'd go to community college, get all my general ed out of the way, and really narrow down what I wanted to major in. And so that's what I did. My first year out of high school in community college full time, I took a bunch of core classes, general ed. I got all of my requirements out of the way. And then second year, I did the same thing. And so by the second year I was there, it was my fourth year in college technically, and so my parents were really pushing me to transfer, and I had enough units, but I just really wasn't feeling it at the time. They kind of pushed me to apply, and like I barely scraped by with the applications and everything, and I, forgot to send my transcripts, and I just kind of fumbled the shit out of it. And so I wound up not getting in anywhere because I didn't fully complete the transfer application process, even though technically I was qualified. And so my parents got kind of pissed at me for dropping the ball on that, but I didn't really mind too much because I wasn't ready to transfer. I mean, I had I met all the requirements, but I wasn't at that point where I was comfortable transferring to a four-year university. And so third year rolls around, and I'm pretty much taking all of the classes that are of any use at the community college because I've been there for 5 years now, and I picked out my major. I started taking a bunch of sociology and psychology classes, and I decided that that was going to be my major. I didn't want to pick one. I picked two. So I took a bunch of that. I had some really great professors there that, you know, really narrowed it down for me, and they were actually the deciding factor that for the fields I wanted to study because I just wound up having really great teachers for these specific fields, and they made it interesting, and they made it bearable to get through the not so great teachers because they were truly in love with the content they were teaching, and that made me fall in love with the content, and that's how I picked my majors. So my third year going to me community college full time, I really didn't have an excuse not to transfer out at that point because there was really nothing else I could take at the community college. And I wound up applying to two schools with the two closest universities to my hometown, and I wound up getting into both. I got into Sonoma State and Sac State, and at that point I had a cousin going to Sonoma State, and so she was really excited, and that she had one more semester left, and she would, wanted a buddy to hang out with on campus, and I thought it would be a great idea. So, she gave me a tour, and we wound up actually going on a furlough Friday, and so there was like nobody on campus. It was dead, and I just, it was it's a good school. Um, it's a smaller school. It's just, it wasn't really feeling it. It wasn't the school for me. I mean, my cousin just graduated from there, and she loves it. She, it was the right school for her, and so I went on the tour with her, and she was trying to convince me, and I was like, yeah, it's great, but I'm gonna go check out Sac State, and before I make any decisions. And so I came up here with a friend. We drove to Sacramento, and we just kind of drove around the campus, and I was like, yeah, I think this is it. It's a much bigger campus, at least, from what I saw. Um, the area is great, and I just got a better vibe out of it. I can't really explain it. It just felt like a better fit. It felt better. It just doesn't really make much sense, but that was that. So I transferred to SAC. This was last year, so last fall, as a junior, and it was great. It is the best decision I've ever made. I love it here. I can't get enough of it here. I came to SAC not knowing anyone, and I met this guy in one of my classes. We wound up having two together, and I was like, hey, we have two classes together. You look queer. I'm queer. You should hang out. Only it was a little more less. It was a little more subtle than that, and we wound up being. He's one of my best buddies now, and he wound up knowing the guy who was facilitating the QSA that semester, and so we got to know him. Well, I got to know him. He already knew him, and we wound up kind of hanging out in this class we all had, and then that's how I got introduced to the QSA, and I wound up doing QSA, and I met a bunch of new friends, and that's just been my home ever since. That was great. And then, well, things got not so great. I really started having trouble with some medical issues that I have, and I wound up not really being able to go to my classes. It sucked. I couldn't go to class, and I wound up failing most if not all of my classes that semester. And I barely scraped by going and attending the finals. And then the semester after that, I was still kind of recovering, and I totally screwed up. I had been placed on academic probation because of my first semester, and I actually wound up, because I wasn't able to recover in time to get my grades up to where they needed to be for the second semester, I was actually kicked out of school, and that was, fun. I actually found out because they sent a letter to my parents' house, which is my legal permanent address, and my dad opened it thinking it was a bill, and so he calls me right as I'm about to leave on this road trip to go to Southern California, and starts yelling at me, what the hell happened, why is this going on, you just wasted thousands and thousands of dollars. And that was a fun way to find out and start my trip. So that happened. It wasn't great. My dad's still pissed at me. I've got my medical issues under better control right now, and I'm on new medication and everything, and I feel like I have a better grasp of it. And so I reapplied. I petitioned for reinstatement, and I filled out this big packet of information. I had to go visit the oh God, not the dean. This is gonna bug the crap out of me. The department. I had to go visit. Okay, I had to go visit the department head and get them to sign off and explain to them why I should be let back into campus. I had to go to the, I forget which exact academic office, and sit with an advisor or something, and they had to help me kind of plan out the rest of my college experience, as well as evaluate the classes I had already taken to make sure that my general ed and everything was all taken care of, and I qualified to be in school at the level I was at. I had to write a little short mini essay explaining what had gone wrong to get me on academic probation, why I had failed pretty much all of my classes, what I was going to do differently, and what I planned on doing with my life and the degree that I eventually was going to get. And so I did that, and of course they wait all summer to tell you that whether or not you're going to get in. So I spent the whole summer nervous that I was going to get kicked out of school permanently. So I wound up getting back in, which is I was hoping for. I wasn't actually expecting not to get back in, because I had a legitimate excuse as to why I didn't do so well. And so I'm going back to school this fall, and I'm really looking forward to it. Because I did technically flunk out of college. They put me on a 7-unit cap, so I'm actually only taking 2 classes, and I'm kind of bummed about, but it gives me a chance to get used to it again, which, makes sense for most people that are put in this situation. And so there's that. So I'm going to school part-time. I'm going to be I'm a facilitator for the QSA this semester, and so I'm going to have more free time to plan that and, be a part of that. And so I'm being really optimistic about this upcoming semester. I'm really looking forward to it. And yeah, that's that. So the future for me, I could be a student forever if it was possible. That would be awesome. So I'm going to stay at Sac State and finish up my 2 bachelor's degrees, and then hopefully grad school after that for at least one field. Right at this point, I'm leaning more towards going to grad school for a psychology degree, just because it's a little more interesting to me, and it seems like you can do more with a psychology degree than a sociology degree. At least that's what my dad seems to think. And he's the one paying for my bills, so he does get a say. And then after that, maybe post-grad, doctorate or something. I don't know. I really wouldn't be in school forever, but I do need to start my life at some point, I guess. So that's that. Happy Friday. Hope you're all doing well. Take care. See you next time.